Welcome to Run Fast and Don't Hit Shit! In this corner we have at 210 pounds, not a lot of muscle knowledge, but a whole lot of knowledge of Horrid Henry and Pepsi Man, Daegon Goodin! Are you excited to run on that Run Fast and Don't Get Hit Shit course of hitting doom?
Yeah, I'm ready to get out there and play. You know, I was training off of 6 push-ups, 36 hours no sleep, and only 1 soda a day. Plus, I play Ben and Ed, and that's kinda like this, so I think I'm ready.
That's great! What are you in this show for?
I'm only in it for the money.
Alright, here we go. 3, 2, 1, go! Rage games, finally something I was actually around for, only took fucking 8 videos. The YouTube landscape used to be completely different, far before you had copycat YouTubers banking off of people's attention spans and desires of extraordinary wealth and watching people in pain by using a format Mr. Beast created, turning YouTube into a soulless content farm. You had copycat YouTubers sitting in front of their cameras, turning on a game and yelling for half an hour. Truly an improvement. Say what you want, but this era was dominated by random, quick indie games people would download that were extremely hard yet both creative and funny to watch. The YouTubers, I don't know, Jack and Mark were good. I'm scared to go any further or I have to talk about Bijou Mike. I Am Bread, Octodad, Surgeon Simulator, Super Meat Boy, and a vast sea of others. YouTube was never more simple than unedited 20-minute videos of people yelling at a fucking octopus. Of course, like any period of time, soon the market became flooded with a ton of rage games. So many quick and cheaply made games purely to capitalize on a trend in the gaming community, something repo. However, I want to talk about one that nobody really talks about or remembers anymore. Ben and Ed. Recently I was playing a game called Hell Pie. It's a pretty fun retro 3D platformer collect-a-thon thing. Looks great, grapple is fun, too many penis mushrooms for my taste though. So I decided to see what else these guys made and I saw Ben and Ed and was like, wait, they made this game? I remember watching Jacksepticeye play this, and since it was only $1, I picked it up. Surprisingly though, most people I asked had no idea what this game was, which was crazy to me. I thought people liked this game, and then a quick look at backlogs reveal, But what happened? Why did people forget about this game, and was it really all that bad? Well, I guess there's nothing left to do but to find out.
What was I doing? That's right, the course! I gotta get going!
And he's off! Whoa, look at those jumps. He's surely jumping. He's a big old jumper. Ooh, here we go. We're at the first shit hitter obstacle shit hit prop thing.
This looks tough. I gotta think about how I'm gonna get past this one. Think about...
Ben and Ed was created by Sluggerfly, a small game studio based in Germany whose notable efforts include Ben and Ed, the aforementioned Hell Pie, and... Oh, wait, they're making the new Super Meat Boy game? Well damn, after how fucking bad their attempts at a puzzle game were, I guess the Meat team just gave up and gave the IP to someone competent instead. Consisting of 6 developers, Sluggerfly would work on their first game soon after forming, and that same year, the world was blessed with... So Ben and Ed is a 3D rage platformer where you must traverse a game show that the showrunner Hans put you in the pursuit of your friend Ed, which will require you to jump through tough as nails levels and end each world off with a boss. Pretty simple stuff, even if each world means 2. There are 2 bosses. I mean, after playing them, I get why, but I'm getting ahead of myself. The game is split into a couple different modes, the main story, challenges, and Ben Calypse, which acts as basically bonus levels. While I do have some things to say about the latter 2, I'll be focusing on the story mode mostly, that of which is split into about 18 levels and a few bosses. So without further ado, let's jump into level 1. Okay, so it's time for me to rant about the graphics, because this is something that has always bothered me for the past, 10 years, and I feel like not enough people talk about it. Unreal Engine looks really bad when doing a cartoony styled game. I got reminded of this when this neat parkour game came out and it looked like one of those 50-cent Steam games like Dude Simulator, but Unreal Engine makes every stylized game looks bad. Obviously, I know why most developers, especially new developers, use Unreal. Unity can look much worse than Unreal when developing 3D games, especially when stylized, but Unreal Engine is honestly diminishing returns. Unreal was never made for cartoony stylized games, it was made for realistic games, which means that no matter what I've seen devs and artists try to do, Unreal always adds a weird tint of quote-unquote realism to the graphics, and it looks so jank. Obviously this is a bigger problem in other games, it's not as prevalent here, but the lighting is too realistic, giving the game this weird shine every fucking Unreal game has. The areas, including terrain and buildings, look too real and out of place with these cartoony character designs. Everything has an off vibe to it, and I've noticed it in every Unreal game since like 2014. It's not awful, it doesn't look bad, but it looks jank. Okay, maybe the parkour game looks bad. That one fucking Dude Simulator 6. Outside of that, I do enjoy the main character design. They have this cartoony yet grotesque look to them, which can either be a little freaky or really funny, like with Hans. Most of the objects and set pieces are nice to look at too. Obviously they aren't winning any awards, but for a first game developed in less than a year, they look pretty good. Of course, besides the graphics, you have the story. You and your friend Ed are walking around your destroyed city before Hans steals Ed and puts you in an obstacle course where you have to complete levels, defeat bosses, take down Hans, and rescue Ed.
What is happening to me today? Wait, I know how to get past this.
Oh, and Daegon has wormed his way through the obstacles. However, he must face his biggest challenge yet. Big balls.
I've never been good with balls. What am I gonna do?
Nothing I've said matters though if the gameplay isn't good. So how is it? Well, for starters, I will say the movement itself is surprisingly smooth. It feels really good to run and jump as Ben, with the jump especially being responsive and not too floaty. The physics are all basically perfect for a platformer based on something like Wipeout. Those are just the regular movement controls though. For special moves, we've got a roll, which is surprisingly useful, and of course, the main feature of this game, being able to take off your head. The game's main gimmick and selling point was the ability to detach limbs to get through levels, and this idea is awesome! A puzzle platformer with the gimmick of needing certain limbs gone to get past obstacles, which also hinders you, is ingenious and could lead to some phenomenal level design. Now, it's not like they didn't try. There's undoubtedly the remnants of this idea sprinkled within the game, but it's never more than barely scratching the surface. What I would call the main gimmick of this game is grabbing your head and throwing it at marked walls, and then rolling and jumping past little segments before landing at a respawn point to get your body back. It shouldn't be understated how cool of an idea this is. The problem is that they only use it 3 times in the whole game. You do act differently when cut up. Losing a leg means you walk slower until you can only crawl, which crawling means you can't get hit by some of the spikes but are incredibly slow and can't jump as high. Losing arms means that you can't throw your head. It's incredibly cool, but none of this culminates into actual puzzles. It just feels like a random gimmick thrown in there for a selling point and nothing else. And that's purely because of... The level design of Ben and Ed is interesting because I think it does a lot right and also a lot wrong. Starting with the positives, there are some incredibly fun gimmicks within these levels. Between falling through poles, the levels being turned sideways and having to platform on the support beams, getting eaten, hey yo. There are some genuinely fun ideas that, while not the most original, and while not always fitting the game show theme, are just flat out enjoyable to play. These gimmicks allow each level to stand out on their own and be memorable, adding a nice flair to the game. Also, some, keyword some, of the segments are incredibly tight. They can be super hard, but with the great movement controls, these segments can make you feel like a god. The smartly placed platforms with enough obstacles to harm you while not getting too in your way, needing you to map out the area. It's incredibly hard, but so satisfying to get right. Despite that though, I think the level design's biggest problem is its inconsistency. Some segments of the game can be astonishingly fun, however there are just as many segments that are a slog to get through. The biggest problem is the disbursement of obstacles. Sometimes they're smartly placed, but a lot of the time they're like, wait, this isn't hard enough, put 100 swinging blades here, and 30 ball shooters here, leading to these maps feeling more like a really bad Mario Maker level than a professional level design. There are also just obstacles that either don't work or are incredibly hard to figure out. Like, this first time I saw this opening mouth, I thought it was a platform, so I jumped on it because you can do that, and I proceeded to fucking explode. Apparently, I was supposed to sit there and wait patiently for it to open, but sorry, I didn't expect that, seeing how the rest of this game needs you to go really quick before you die. Also, why do you have to go into so many mouths in this game? I think someone on this team wants to be eaten. A lot of cramped areas too. I think cramped areas and rage platformers work better when they're 2D, because 3D platformers work better when you have freer movement. Because of the whole new dimension, being asked to do very specific sets of movements to get past this super tight space has way more variables to equate for, and it's just not as fun to be so cramped when paired with 3D movement.
Oh, God, I need to get checked. Anyways, big balls. What do I do? I got it.
And he has kicked the ball so hard they flew away. That's gotta hurt.
Alright, I know how to do this one.
The absolute worst part of the platforming sections, though, are the bugs. Cyberpunk ain't got shit on this, bro. We're reaching Bethesda levels. The game was made in less than a year, and it was their first game, so I'm not gonna be too mean, but my god, this is by far the most buggy platformer I've ever played. Only rivaled by Steam Shovelware and, fucking Super Tofu Boy, my goat. From hitting the ground at 2 feet high and exploding, to blades passing by you, to getting launched hundreds of feet in the air by hammers, it's all here. I can't tell you how many times I tried to attempt a run only to immediately die from a dumb glitch, or even just an oversight in general. The most egregious thing, though, has to be the sliding platforms. See, usually they're supposed to be pretty slow, giving you time to react and such, but when I played it was insanely fast. I thought it was just an update to make the game harder, so I ignored it until I got to this level. The platforms are moving so fast that you have to jump between the two to not die, and it is impossible to complete this whole segment without failing and dying. I spent half an hour trying to get past this until my friend pointed out maybe it's a refresh rate thing. So I lowered my refresh rate, and what do you know? Maybe it's because the game is old, maybe the game was just always programmed like this and I'm just cheating, who knows? But how do you leave something that big in a game without ever addressing or fixing it in almost 10 years? I think it highlights a clear level of polish this game is lacking, probably because they made this game in less than a year, which mind you is insane, but it feels like every good part of this game is undercut by some section or part of it that's clearly unpolished. Case in point, the final sections of this game. Ben and Ed features 3 boss battles, 2 with mechanical robots trying to kill you, and 1 with Hans, and they unfortunately get worse with each one. The first one, though, I actually enjoy. It's against this weird clown guy who's trying to slap you into the ground, and it's a decent enough time. You just gotta go through 3 levels of platforms, each getting harder and faster, which works well within the theming and idea of this game. It's not unfairly hard, and shooting into the clown's mouth to kill him oh my fucking god, enough with the mouths! The other 2, though, not so much. If there's any level I flat out despise in this game, it would be the second boss fight. You have to climb this rotating tower and throw your head in to turn off some switches. In concept, I love this idea. Not only does the theming work and the gimmick of a rotating tower just sound fun, it also uses the severely underutilized body part gimmick, so it should have been a slam dunk. Unfortunately, a huge problem with this map is that not everything is rotating the same. Some are rotating, some are moving back and forth, some are going up and down, and that means that everything is out of sync, causing you to have to wait for an eternity to make some jumps, or to have to restart the entire segment to get everything in sync again. That's already an insanely dumb problem, but once again, there are obstacles taking up literally every corner of the level, which means there is nowhere to wait. You either keep moving back and forth, avoiding the same few obstacles, or restart from the last checkpoint and go through it again. Also, the room for error for throwing your head is incredibly small, which I get, but there's no indicator or cursor for where your head is going to be thrown. So it's a crapshoot on whether you make it in or not, making it unbearably frustrating. I almost gave up on the game at this point. It took me almost an hour to finish. And then you have the final boss, which may be the biggest joke of the whole game. You face off against Hans in a one-on-one race to what's that? He died? I already won? Okay, I guess. I win. I'm sure that this could have been a cool final boss, but you can beat it in literally 30 seconds. The CPU, at least when I played it, is programmed to immediately die, so there's literally no skill involved in it, which is a stark contrast to the previous few 30-minute long levels. But you make it to the end and you're finally reunited with your friend Ben. So obviously you fucking murder him. I see a lot of people complain about this ending, and it does come out of nowhere, but I think it definitely could have been funny. Like, all the pieces of this being a really funny, subversive ending were there, but the game is so inconsistent with whether it wants to tell a story or not. And I think that sums up the game pretty well. Inconsistent. Sometimes it's a tight feeling, irreverently charming, comedic attempt at rage platformers, complete with some great level design and unique ideas, and other times it's a rushed and buggy mess with baffling level design choices, comedic eye rolls, and underutilized gimmicks. It's a game that could have been so much more than what it is.
That's right, wall jumps!
And Daegon has managed to wall jump on the wall jump pillars of jumping. But will he make it past the pit of doom?
Fuck! This is way too far for me to jump. But I'm out of things to pass out for. Wait, the extra modes! Yeah!
Before we finish up here though, I want to take a look at a few of the extra modes just to see if they have anything of value, because I fucking forgot to in the last few games with challenge modes. First off, Bencalypse, which is the most substantial of the extras. Bencalypse is, say it with me now, inconsistent. While not amazing or anything, I actually quite enjoy the first level. Unlike the main game, it goes for a more exploration-based approach, having to scour through the abandoned game show to try and escape, while seeing random left-behind cast members because shock value, no, yeah, that's it. It still has the usual pitfalls of the game, extremely cluttered obstacle placements, difficult to navigate levels, and the bugginess is at an all-time high, literally freezing up at multiple points, but exploring this abandoned place is fun. There are some great platforming sections here, and having to find my way through the warehouse was the first time I actually had to think during one of the puzzles, which is good for, you know, a puzzle. Although between this and the witness, at the end of this level, you even get a storybook ending telling you reached the surface and that you're hungry. I'm excited to see where this next level goes, seeing as how it's setting up like this outdoor style gameplay. It's a Happy Wheels level. See what I'm talking about? 1 second you have this really cool level with an ending setting up an even cooler level, only for it to randomly be like, actually, let's make a boring level instead. Also, I'm doing crack cocaine, even when they have such a good idea laid out to them. The second level isn't even bad, but it's super easy and only takes a few minutes to beat. But the third level is bullshit! Look, who am I to complain about a rage game being too hard? Ooh, this water sure is wet today. But this jump right here is impossible. You have to try and throw your head into the bullseye and you cannot make it without undershooting it or exploding. I sat here for 10 minutes trying every single method I could, but I refuse to believe that this is possible, especially thanks to, again, the throwing controls being kind of... Other than that, we have a procedurally generated mode that you try to get as far in as possible. I think it's actually pretty fun, however, I'm not sure how I feel about supposedly procedurally generated levels feeling about as polished as the normal levels, kind of shooting yourself in the foot there, making your game look more unpolished. Skyscraper of Terror, which also doesn't work. I don't know if you're supposed to wait at the platforms or go as fast as you can. Anytime I try, either they fall down or they're too high. Awesome. And Arena of Doom is just the procedurally generated one again, except the more organized and also harder. Awesome. I'm unsure what they made these challenge modes for, besides maybe No Blood, No Gain. That one also being the only one with achievements. But I wish they spent the time making this game just more polished. I mean, even without the challenges, the average person is going to spend like 6 hours on this game, which is more than reasonable enough for $10. If they put more effort into the main game, I think that this game would have been more favorably received and way more memorable. Overall though, even with its many problems, Ben & Ed still contains a decent amount of fun to be had. For every bad, insufferable moment, there's one that's really fun or smartly designed. However, as the years pass by, its cracks start to show more and more. A once pretty fun game to record and yell at is now unfortunately a relic of its time. I still find it fun to look back on this game though. There's a lot of fun to be had even with its huge flaws, which is why I'm giving Ben & Ed a 6 out of 10. There was also a sequel released in 2018, but that game is also mostly centered around multiplayer and user-created levels, and I'm sorry, but last time I bought an obscure game with user-created levels, there were maybe 25 of them, and half of them didn't work. So no, thank you.
That didn't help me at all. I need a way to cross this gap, but I don't know how to do that. How do I do it? I don't know. How do I do it? I don't know. Wait, that's it. Like and subscribe. Wait, no, that wasn't it. I'm gonna throw my head.